been doing push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, and welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. My name is DJ Yoakley. Joining me today, each and every Wednesday that I'm here, is the man, the myth, and the legend, the Golden String Radio extraordinaire, Mr. Scotty Mencher. What's up there, Scooter?
Oh, you know, DJ, it's Wednesday, so you know I gotta be in a good mood.
It's Scotty Day.
I was gonna say, even last week when you were in Myrtle, I was here, so I'm like a bad rash, man. You're just not getting rid of me.
Well, I don't know. I don't know anything about bad rashes, buddy. But I'll tell you this: is it's always a pleasure to have you. We're excited to have you. I'm excited to be with you because, like you said, I was in Myrtle and we had games every single day last week. So I was doing pulling double duty, doing the games in the morning and then having the power hour in the afternoon. So thanks for popping in, making sure this place didn't burn down.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. And I love the Myrtle Beach.
You like it?
Hat, by the way.
You like it? Little MB?
Yeah.
I like the blue and gold. It just screams beach.
It does. It does.
The Pelicans, or I have a shirt now that says the Pelicanos.
Pelicanos.
I like it. I'm a big fan of the Pelicanos. Scotty, it is the beginning of the show, which means, pardon me, you know what time it is. What time is it, buddy?
I know what time it is. It's time for this day
in sports history.
Sports history.
On this day in sports history, 1986, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Mr. Michael Jordan sets the NBA playoff record with 63 points in a game. And is that still a record?
I think it's still, I want to say it is still a playoff record.
Is it?
I don't think, because he did that in Boston Garden, the old Boston Garden. And I don't think anyone has matched that or gone past 63 since.
Is that surprising to you?
It is in a way, but I guess with the NBA nowadays and so many teams, chucking up the three ball, you're gonna make a lot, but you're also gonna miss a lot too. So I guess in a way it's surprising, but in a way it isn't, I guess. But he was just, man, talk about an assassin, cutthroat. I watched, I don't know if you saw it, DJ, but there was I think I might have mentioned it to you a few weeks back. There was a lifelong LeBron fan. He was young. He was a millennial. And he had a LeBron Lakers jersey on. He watched like a mixtape of all Jordan's highlights going back to when he was first drafted. And he's like, I got to shut this off. He's like, he was in disbelief. He couldn't believe Jordan's highlight reel. So,
well, I mean, he's the GOAT. Quinn just left, or else he'd probably peek in here and tell us otherwise.
Yeah, I was gonna say I miss you and Quinn going at it. he just laughed. But yeah, I told my dad I won't argue about about Jordan anymore. Like, I'm not gonna say LeBron's better, but LeBron is still like damn. If he's not one, he's two or three. I don't know.
Okay, I'll we're not going to get into that. Let's do this. I'm going to put my future cap on right now. When we come back in the studio this time next Wednesday, on this day in sports history we just talked about, the 63 by Michael Jordan, it's going to be done. It's going to be over. I'm calling it tonight. Tonight, somebody's going to score 63 or more.
You think so? And I haven't even looked at that.
The schedule is as follows right now: Nets and Celtics, Sixers and Raptors, and Bulls and Bucks. And I'm going to take – who am I going to take to – I'm going to take the Sixers.
Who I would take.
I'm going to take the Sixers.
And what player are you taking?
James Harden.
James Harden. I would go with KD for the.
You think KD's going to do it against the Celtics?
I think he can do it.
Boston leads the series 1-0.
Yeah, they do, but Brooklyn they were right there, right at the end. Boston scored a shot at the buzzer to win game one.
Tatum.
I think KD knows he has to be special tonight, and he's just so hard to guard. He's so long, and he has that jumper. So yeah, I just have a feeling KD's gonna do it. But Harden not a bad pick.
I don't know. I feel like they're gonna just absolutely double down on Embiid. They're not gonna let Embiid beat them, and I think that Harden's gonna go bananas tonight. So I say he scores 67 and breaks the record, but the Raptors win.
What do you think? Not to get I know there's a lot we want to get to today, but what do you think is more impressive in your mind, DJ? If one feat is more impressive than the other, or do you think they're both equal? When Kobe, the late Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, when he scored 81 against the Raptors in that era, around 2006, 2007, or when Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 when he did. What do you think's more impressive?
I think it's more impressive that Wilt scored 100 because they weren't putting up 100-point games necessarily in those days, and Wilt scored 100 on his own. I mean, nobody has anybody done it since?
No, Kobe
ever
was the close.
With 81.
He was 81.
Yeah. So I mean that has to be the most impressive, and especially during that era. Now I know that Michael Jordan 63, and you see 50s a lot in the NBA. 81's up there, and I mean you got to be dominant to put 81 up on a professional, because somebody's going to be slighted. Somebody's going to be ticked off and peeved that somebody's peeing in their Cheerios live and in person. So I like the 100, but that's a good question. Really good question.
Yeah, it's just something I was thinking about, because a lot of people our age will say, well, today's athletes, bigger, faster, stronger. But when it comes to the NBA, a lot of people romanticize the past in the NBA and say, oh, it was harder and more physical back then. You
it was
get away with more than you can.
I would argue it was more physical in the 80s and 90s than it was way back when, because the guys were bigger, stronger. I mean, you look what Michael Jordan had to do to his body just to beat the Pistons.
Yeah, and they had their own little, they called it the Jordan rules, and he would just get hammered and a lot of those there was no foul called. Today he'd be going to the line, 30 times a game.
Scotty, flipping gears here, very special day. Do you know what today is?
Today is 420. I know that.
It is 420. Do you know what that signifies here at YSN?
What?
The second anniversary of the YSN Power Hour. We started this on April 20th, 2020, out of necessity, out of excitement, out of just, basically bananas and Fruit Loops, out of nothing. And here we sit 2 years later, and we are on the precipice on Friday of our 500th show. 500 shows in 2 years. And you've been a big part of that, man. You've been a big part of that because you're the guy that watches seemingly every day, like it's the Bible, and you're watching it and you're making sure that you're keeping us on our toes. So thank you for the support. Thank you for the support as well. Certainly we couldn't have done it without you, and especially the awkward phases as we were growing and we start splitting off in different directions. You have hopefully made this show what you want it to be, which is an hour of just talking about local sports, talking about what is at the water cooler. And we're not going to change it up anytime soon or change it up, especially today, because Scotty, big news in the NFL today. And I don't know if you caught it. Deebo Samuel of the 49ers asking for a trade, requesting, demanding, I want a trade. I want someone to treat me with respect, put some respect on my name. You know where I think he's going? Let's talk. And here's the cool thing. I got this new graphic. Check that up. Deebo Samuel right between you and I. I don't know. You can't see it on the screen, but literally you are on it. We're almost like angel and devil on Deebo Samuel's shoulder.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that I can't see it, but
you'll have to run it back later.
You think he's could be heading to the what I call the evil empire?
Am I the bad guy? Am I the devil here on this shoulder of Deebo Samuel as I look at his cartoon self? Yes, I think that this is a perfect fit. The Steelers get Miles Boykin yesterday off the waiver wire, and now, to me, it would be a perfect fit. The number 19's free. There's no more TikTok videos. And now you get one of, I think, the best receivers in all of the game. So, okay, the Browns want to go and shore up and get, Deshaun Watson, and they want to go spend $1 bazillion on Denzel Ward. That's great. That's fantastic. We'll go get the best wide receiver in the game and average to above average quarterback, and we'll still beat you twice a year. I'm calling it. I'm calling the shot right now. Deebo's a Steeler.
Deebo is a Steeler. Interesting.
Where else would he fit? And don't say Cleveland.
No, I don't think they got Amari Cooper.
And they got like $38 left.
They have a return specialist, a gadget guy, and Jakeem Grant, who they signed. He used to play for Miami and the Bears as well. So I don't really see that the Browns going after him. If not a place like Pittsburgh, I could see Green Bay, especially since they just lost Devontae Adams.
But do you think that Green Bay would be willing to give up, or I guess San Francisco would be willing to trade this young man to Green Bay in the same conference?
Yeah.
That's why I like it going to the AFC, and the Steelers are sitting there saying, hey, we need a couple receivers.
Yeah, they might want them out of the NFC, excuse me. Another team to watch too, and I hate to say this because it seems like they've just had a loaded roster for a decade now, even though it hasn't really been that long. But another team to watch with the departure of Tyreek Hill is Anthony's KC Chiefs.
No way.
Here.
No way. Well, they got the picks. They got the picks to give, but I don't think they would. You know where I think if he doesn't end up with Pittsburgh, you know where I think he would end up? He would rot in Houston.
Houston.
They got, I mean, look what they got from the Browns. They got picks for the next 38 years from Cleveland. Why wouldn't you just fill up your stat sheet with picks in the first round and second round this year, that year, and for 30 years after for one of the best receivers in the game right now?
And they seem to really like the I shouldn't know his name, but
Fuller,
who played? No, he played quarterback for them last year. I think Mills.
Oh yeah. Yep.
They seem like I think they think that they know more than other people do. I think they.
Spoiler alert: they don't.
They have something in him, but I just don't see it.
No, I'm with you.
I think he's average on his best day, so I don't see it there. But as far as they definitely have the draft capital now, for sure, as you said, to pull something like that off.
It'll be interesting.
What do you think? DJ, I don't know where you wanted to go next, but I know we talked before before we got on today. We set out, maybe we could touch on a little bit of the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you talked about the Steelers bringing Mitchell Trubisky in. And I forget what show it was, DJ, but I've always liked Mitchell Trubisky's arm. He has a strong arm, so I think he can stretch the field. You didn't see it as much the last 2 years with Ben. He was just he was still serviceable, but he wasn't vintage Big Ben. Trubisky's a lot younger. He comes in for Ben now. I think he could stretch the field, but I keep hearing the word out of Pittsburgh to me. I keep hearing that they're definitely going to go quarterback and that they really, really like Malik Willis from Liberty. So what do you think about that?
I don't like them going quarterback. There's nobody in this draft that I would take with the first round pick. There's nobody, like right now, I would take Deebo Samuel, trade your first round pick to San Francisco. Deebo Samuel, to me, is better than anything you're going to get, wide receiver or quarterback, in the first round.
Commodity.
And he's a great player. So you don't pick in the first round. Give me 31 guys that are going to be better than Deebo Samuel this year in that draft. I can't name them.
You're not getting. You might not be able to name guys the first 2 rounds combined. Like if you combine rounds 1 and 2, somebody.
Well, here's the problem too, Scotty, and people are already getting on me because I put it on social media naturally. That again, the number 19 slot is open in Pittsburgh. We have a number 20 pick that we don't really know what we're going to do with. People say that we're going to take a quarterback, like you said. Malik Willis will not be there. The Lions are talking about taking him at 2. So if you're obsessed with Malik Willis, he's going to be long gone by the time the Steelers are picking. Sorry to say.
I mean, they could, if they really love them, though, they could trade.
Why would you trade? Like,
I'm
because
not
here's
saying I would
my
do
thing.
it.
No, but
I'm just hearing.
Yeah, you're trying to get me stirred up, is what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I heard reports out of Pittsburgh that the Honey Badger's coming too. That hasn't seemingly happened yet. Interestingly enough, Scotty, I think when it comes down to it, we don't need a quarterback this year. Perfect bridge quarterback and Mitch Trubisky, and I think that he could be the quarterback of the future if you're talking about 5 years. However, there is a huge, and I mean huge, depth next year at quarterback. CJ Stroud eligible to come out. Think about him, the kid from Alabama. Unbelievable. He's in that draft. And then you can go on and on and on and on and on. So if you're the Steelers, don't reach right now. You don't need it. You'll still go 9-8, 10-7, something along those lines with Mitch Trubisky. And people can continue to just stack dirt and wood and chips on Mitch Trubisky. That's fine. We won how many games last year? 10 games? 9 games? 9, 7, 1 with a statue.
And another thing on top of that, DJ, is, and I know the defense was like super good that year, but even if you go back to the 2019 season, Ben gets hurt. I think it's week 2.
Duck Hodges.
He's out for the year. They, with the combination of Duck Hodges and
Mason
Rudolph, yeah, he did play that year, and they still won 8 games. So I don't like just looking at this, man, like this, the Steelers, that defense a couple years ago was very special. They were very good again last year. So I talked about what I'm hearing, but if I was the Steelers, I would continue to just build that defense, because I think Najee Harris, he's just going to continue to get better. I think, if he gets his head out of his rear end, I think there's a lot of potential with a guy like Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
I like Deontay Johnson a lot too. So,
man, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Deebo Samuel. Who's going to stop us? Who's going to – you and I could quarterback that team, Scotty, and we're still going to win 10 games.
That's
everybody's lighting up on offense right now. I saw a picture of Deshaun Watson and the quarterbacks and yesterday, and they were doing their off-season workouts together, and Josh Dobbs is wearing a Browns shirt now, which is weird to see. But I'm sorry. Watson does not intimidate me at all. The dude, and I can't wait to see the schedule. I hope the Browns and Steelers don't play until weeks 14 and 17, because my guy stinks in under 40-degree temps. Stinks. I shouldn't say my guy. Your guy stinks. And you're going to pay him $230 million to poop down his leg in 40-degree temperatures, under 40-degree temperatures. It's not 40 degrees in the summertime in Cleveland, let alone the winter.
To your point, it's kind of, I'm getting a sickness in my stomach because I keep agreeing with you today, but like a couple years ago, it was the 2020 year. Houston came to Cleveland, and the Browns had a couple real key players out with COVID. I don't think Myles Garrett played. Denzel Ward.
Shock that Myles Garrett didn't play.
Too.
We're stunned.
But it was a freezing cold game in Cleveland. There was like freezing rain, like lightning. It got lightning delayed, and Baker Mayfield outplayed Deshaun Watson in that game.
Why are we surprised?
So that's the reason, like, I like the Watson move. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a really good player. But like you said, he put up those stats and those numbers a lot of those games in Houston where you're not dealing with the situations ideal as far as weather-wise.
One of the best receivers in the game.
Yeah, and
when D-Hop.
So,
all right, so let me ask you an honest-to-God question, because we're going to talk about Baker Mayfield here after the break. Deshaun Watson gets $230 million guaranteed over, what, 5 years, I think? Something like that? 4 years? 4 or 5 years?
It's 5.
Okay, so the Browns wouldn't give Baker 40. Is Deshaun Watson or let's just say $200 million better than Baker Mayfield with that awesome 1-2 playoff record?
I think he's better. I wouldn't say he's
$200 million.
$200 million better. But I think when you're Cleveland, whether people want to admit it or not, when you're Cleveland, even more so than Pittsburgh, because the city, for whatever reason, it's become a punchline and a lot of that has to do with the Browns just being inept too. But anytime you hear about Pittsburgh, they might talk smack on the Pirates, but I've never heard anyone trash Pittsburgh as a city. But Cleveland's been the butt of many jokes. So I think it was one of those situations they knew they had to overpay. They have an owner in Jimmy Haslam who's not Jerry Jones, but I think his actions and some of the stuff he's done has been Jerry Jones-esque on a smaller scale where he wants to win so bad, and sometimes that's good, and other times it's really bad because you're getting involved too much and not letting the people you hire do their job. But so I don't think Deshaun Watson's that much better than Baker, but I also think that for whatever reason, whatever the hell happened last year, and maybe Baker, he already went on a podcast. Maybe he'll write a book about his last days in Cleveland. I just feel like he burned a lot of bridges, not just in Cleveland, but in the NFL world in general. Because even Robbie Anderson, who's one of the league leaders in drops in Carolina, there was reports about Mayfield going to Carolina, and Robbie Anderson tweeted like, no. So I don't know if it's just the fact that Baker is very crass and, he likes to chirp a lot. But I feel like a lot of people have just grown tired of Baker Mayfield. It's either that or they're really pissed at the Browns because Jimmy Haslam basically reset the QB market now because everyone's going to look at that Deshaun Watson contract and the guaranteed money he got and said, well, Watson got this. What do you think Joe Burrow's going to do now?
Well, this is
rookie deals up in Lamar Jackson. They're going to say, Lamar's going to say, I've won an MVP. Deshaun Watson hasn't, so I deserve. So I
say that one more time. That last line you had.
I
won an MVP. Deshaun Watson hasn't.
For Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bring Baker up. Baker's gonna join us here. Check this out. Boom. There he is. Just like Deebo Samuel joined us. Baker Mayfield sits between you and I, Scotty. That beautiful beard and all. Here's my problem with all this, because there are reports out of Pittsburgh that if the Browns cut Baker Mayfield, the Steelers would scoop him up and Baker would sign with the Steelers immediately.
And I know you would love it.
Oh, I told you a long time ago. Even when there was a picture of Baker Mayfield in a Steelers jersey on this show. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Do I believe in Trubisky? I do. Does he have Baker Mayfield's characteristics? He does not. Baker Mayfield, 300 days ago, let's just go back 300 days, was your guy. Was your ride or die.
He
was everybody's ride or die. I mean, getting progressive commercials out the wazoo. Everybody in the world making fun of Browns fans because, well, Baker has more interest in commercials than he does winning football games. And Browns fans, no, you just wait till this year. You just wait till this year. Well, what happened? What happened was Cleveland happened. And I argued tooth and nail that being brash, being that guy in the locker room is not going to bode well for Baker Mayfield because there are a lot of egos in that locker room. Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Myles Garrett, Kevin Stefanski. You sat there last year and just buttered the bread up and down, Scotty, about Kevin Stefanski being the greatest coach arguably in the history of the Browns franchise. Coach of the year, this, that, and the other. I'm going to sit here as we look at Baker Mayfield between us, and I'm going to tell you that Baker wasn't the problem. Kevin Stefanski is the problem. Kevin Stefanski and Jimmy Haslam, as you remarked, are the problem. Baker is the furthest thing from the problem. The fact that Kevin Stefanski and the entire NFL saw this, the other 31 teams saw Kevin Stefanski hang his quarterback out to dry in that Steelers game. Didn't run the ball on purpose. Lost that game on purpose. I would argue tooth and nail they threw that game. And he threw Baker Mayfield to the Wolves to prove a point.
He did. He definitely wanted to prove a point that night. He wanted to see. He wanted to say, look, I'm going to put it all on his shoulders. And look, this guy. He wanted to make Mayfield look very, bad, which he did.
He made him look questionable. He did every bit reverse of what Mayfield did for a year and a half prior to that. I mean, do you remember that Browns versus the Ravens? I remember you coming back that week, the following week, telling me about Baker Mayfield and how he just went toe-to-toe with the champion. And if Lamar Jackson had to poop just a little bit more, the Browns walk out with a champion, walk out with that game. Here's the thing. Somebody's going to get an awesome, and I mean awesome, player in Baker Mayfield. Not a backup, starting quarterback. Baker Mayfield will get a starting role before Colin Kaepernick. And let me just set the example, because I talked about this in Myrtle Beach with Donnie Farron and Jeff DeRose and who we call the Paw King, Dan Zolik. So here's a little scenario. April 9th, the morning of April 9th, Dwayne Haskins gets hit and fatally killed by that dump truck. Do you believe in the time travel, like time ellipsers, like those things that it busted up a timeline?
I do kind of. I remember hearing something about like the Berenstein Bears, yep. But it's really
all right. So think about this. This is my conspiracy theory. Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace. Opens up, Dobbs is gone. Opens up a spot on the Steelers roster for a quarterback. You got Trubisky and you've got Mason Rudolph. Steelers need another quarterback. They're waiting. Here comes Baker Mayfield.
And whoever it was that, and there's the speculation out of Pittsburgh, and somebody on ESPN, I forget who it was, but somebody on ESPN said that if the Browns did just have to flat out cut him, he would sign with Pittsburgh.
Just to shove it up their pooper twice a year.
Just to spite him.
Wouldn't you? I would. Well, you're not going to go to Cincinnati. You're not going to go to Baltimore. You're going to Pittsburgh. And listen, can you imagine? Oh, my God. I'm getting so excited just thinking about this. Can you imagine? Can you even fathom, Scottrud, that Baker Mayfield signs with the Steelers and becomes the number 1 overall pick that he was set to be in Cleveland. And once again, the Browns missed. Like, what would you do? And especially if Deshaun Watson didn't pan out.
Oh, I would be sick. My nerves would be so out of whack. I'd probably just vomit everywhere. But it's just like, man, it's one of those things, DJ. I'm not a believer in, like some Browns fans are saying that are still in Baker's corner, and there's less and less of them. But the ones that are still in Baker's corner are saying, he was hurt last year, and
he was hurt.
They shouldn't have put him in games, and basically what you said, like they threw him to the wolves. And I do think he was hurt, and it did affect his play now, especially early on in the season, because people forget he got hurt very early. I think it was week 2 or 3 tops. He dislocated his shoulder or whatever. It was very early in the season. So people forget that.
People also forget, Scotty.
You can only go by what you put on tape. So his tape, if he was healthy enough to play, he played very bad. But he was limping around, and they still won the Lions game. Yeah, I know it's the Lions, but people quickly forget that 2 years ago, this guy at the end of the season, he had a top 3 QBR in the entire NFL. He had a higher QBR than Patrick Mahomes.
Because what did he do? He made a living doing what? Throwing underneath the sticks.
Yep.
What do the Steelers do better than anybody else?
Throw underneath the sticks.
I'm just saying, Scotty. The stars are aligning. Give me Deebo Samuel. Give me Baker Mayfield. And we got something. Oh, and by the way, the defense is going to be pretty doggone good too.
It's very interesting too, DJ, because I was watching this YouTube channel that I watch where they talk about football, because especially like when the Guardians have a rough weekend, which they did. I went to the home opener, they got swept by the Giants. So sometimes when my other team's going bad, I want to try to turn to something that
a little salvation
maybe could find some sort of salvation. So I was watching a YouTube channel, and they were saying, you look at the teams in the AFC North, Cincinnati just went to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens have a former MVP, Lamar Jackson, and the Browns just signed Deshaun Watson for the most guaranteed money for a quarterback in the history of the league. And they were saying how the Steelers are kind of just this forgotten thing. Like nobody, if the Steelers basically, if any of the previous teams I mentioned, the Ravens, Cincinnati, or the Browns, if they let the Steelers beat them out, somebody's getting fired, because everybody's saying on paper that those teams are clearly above the Steelers, all three.
They
now.
Sure are.
But the thing is, Mike Tomlin has never finished under 500.
And the thing about it is, Scotty, is you said the best thing on paper. Who's the paper champion every year? Who's the Dunder Mifflin king of the NFL?
The Browns have been the paper champion for the last 4 years.
They are, and they will continue to be. This year again, big splash, paper champions. They should win the AFC North. But wait a minute. We forgot about something. We just paid our quarterback and cornerback are now the highest paid at their position. Denzel Ward, highest paid cornerback in the history of the game. Denzel Ward. Denzel Ward. What has that guy done?
Yeah, I think he's a very good corner.
Denzel Ward.
Saying...
Okay. So, all right, stop. I'm going to stop you right there. We're going to play either or. You ready? Denzel Ward or Darrelle Revis?
I see Revis really fell off at the end, but
in his prime,
I'd probably go Darrelle.
Okay. Denzel Ward or Deion Sanders?
You got to go Deion all day.
Denzel Ward or Rod Woodson?
I didn't see enough of Rod Woodson, and I hate the Steelers, so I'm going Denzel.
Okay. Denzel Ward or any other cornerback in the NFL right now?
I think he's in the top 5, so I'm taking
this sounds real familiar, Scotty. That last saying sounded eerily familiar to something you said last year before the football season. And what did you say?
I said that this is
nope,
exactly
just spit it out. Spit it out.
So don't get it wrong. I said Baker Mayfield is a top 10 quarterback, but he could possibly play like a top 5. That's what I said.
Boom! And now Baker Mayfield, this guy right here. Let's click on him again. Say it to his face, Scotty. Say it to the man's face. Say it.
Baker, you're a top 10 quarterback, and you could potentially still play like a top 5.
There it is. There it is. Now, when he signs with the Steelers, I'm going to run that back 800 times over and over again. I'm putting it in my memory banks. This was the 200th show. It was special. Scotty predicted that Baker's still going to be a top 10, top 5 quarterback. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me that on this 200th, second year celebration, I should say. The 500th show coming up on Friday. Scotty, we're going to take a break before we break things down. Any final thoughts about Baker Mayfield?
No final thoughts about. I mean, I do think the Browns will end up trading him. I don't think they're gonna flat out cut him. I think they'll get.
They're scared.
Peanuts for him.
They're
like
scared.
A 6th or 7th rounder. But one last quick thing, I think you're underestimating Denzel Ward a little bit. If you look back to last year, nobody.
I saw this too.
Nobody could cover Jamar Chase, and he was a huge reason the Bengals, along with Burrow and a lot of reasons they went to the Super Bowl. But the last corner to really shut him down, take him out of the game, was Denzel Ward. So I'm not saying he's an all-time great.
Okay, I saw that graphic too.
Good.
It was Jamar Chase. It was Devontae Adams. And who was the other one? I'm trying to remember. Denzel Ward shut all 3 teams. All 3 of those teams had running games. All 3 of them did.
Yeah, they did. But the running game didn't, like Joe Burrow's still never beaten the Browns.
Oh, man. I would never beat the Browns again if it meant I went to the Super Bowl every year. Because I'm not a Browns fan. A Browns fan, they don't care if they go to the Super Bowl. They care if they beat the Steelers twice a year. That's what they care about because they're all idiots. They're all just ignorant dorks that all they care about is beating their buddies at work.
It's not about that. It's about when you're beaten down so much. If DJ, let me put it this way: if I was in the desert for 10 days and starving, and you gave me a captain waiver, you gave me one captain waiver cracker, that cracker would taste like filet mignon.
I understand that.
Roadhouse.
I understand that. But you do realize that you made the playoffs 2 years ago. And I'm still hearing about you beating the Steelers in a playoff game.
You haven't heard it from me.
No. But it's still going on, man. Well, at least the last time we beat the Steelers, it was in the playoffs. Scotty, come on. You know this is true. The Browns fans would not want to win a Super Bowl more than they would love to beat the Steelers. Go 2-15 every year, and those 2 wins were against the Steelers. They don't care if the Steelers go 15-2 and win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I've never really understood that logic. Though, like, people say about college rivalries like Ohio State, Michigan, like Michigan or Ohio State could lose all their games, but if Ohio State beats Michigan or vice versa, it's a solid year. Like, why? Like, you play to win. Like,
you know why?
What are we doing?
And you just solved a riddle for me, because I've been wondering that for the longest time, because Ohio State fans are Cleveland fans and vice versa. So they're so used to, well, if we don't beat anybody, at least we beat Michigan. If we don't go to the Natty, at least we beat Michigan. And then you don't. And then you don't meet Michigan, and all of a sudden it matters. It matters that you're going to the Natty. It matters you're going to the college football playoffs. The Browns fans one day, hopefully, actually for me, hopefully they don't understand this, because it means that they just continue not to go to the playoffs. Maybe one day they'll understand that the guard at the door is not the Steelers. The guard at the door for the last 20 years has been a guy in New England and Tampa Bay. Had nothing to do with the Steelers. The Steelers were not standing in the Cleveland Browns way. We're going to take a timeout. Be back right after this on Ysn's Power Hour.
It means the world to me to know that what we're doing is impacting people. And whether it's simply, I got to watch my son or daughter when I was out of town, or we just love watching Ysn. We love what you do for our son or daughter. So whenever someone says thank you, or someone is appreciative of what we're doing, it tells me everyone at Ysn is doing what we initially set out to do, which is shine a light on these athletes and help them kind of promote themselves. My name is Anthony Hartwig, and my sports network is your sports network.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Coca's Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocaspizza.com. That's Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
You know what that graphic means, Scotty. It's time for the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark? Presented by our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. Visit them on the campus in North Lima or on the web at DickeyElectric.com. Scotty, what is your spark?
My spark for the day, and it's kind of two in a one. One is that it's not snowing out today. So praise the Lord for that. And then the second spark is I just love this time of year sports-wise. We talked about all the great action, baseball and softball-wise locally on Running Point. You have, of course, baseball back, and then next week is the NFL draft. So a lot is going to happen there. We'll see what happens with Baker, but this is just such a fun time of year. So those are my sparks. No snow, and we just got so much good sports going on.
I love it. I'm going to kind of jump on your back on that one. With the better weather, I get to announce a doubleheader tonight at beloved Ysn Park. My first experience of the year, so I'm looking forward to get out there. JFK is playing in one, and then I think it's McDonald and Waterloo in the second game. So for a full list of what you can find on YSN tonight, all you got to do is go to ysnlive.com/live, follow the links, and I believe we have stuff literally right now all the way through probably the 9 o'clock, 9:30 hour here on YSN. So enjoy the evening. Scotty, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. Also, we appreciate the stopping by of Deebo Samuel and, of course, my main man and future Steeler, I guess future Steelers in those two in Baker Mayfield. Everybody have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow here on the Ysn Power Hour on episode number 499. Peace. YSN